Today I'm going to show you how to restore headlights using 3M 800 grit sandpaper, 1000 grit sandpaper, 1500 grit sandpaper, and then finally 2000 grit sandpaper. After we sand the headlight, we're going to use rubbing compound on the quarter table 7424 polishing machine, using Meguiar's Ultimate Compound as a rubbing compound to smooth out the scratches from the sandpaper. After we're finished with that, we're going to just move to a regular polish to get it as crystal clear as possible. And finally to a super fine polish that's going to seal the headlight to make it not cloud up as much in the future. Just before I start, I want to show you the previous results. This was before, this is after, and this is before. Before and after. So my goal is going to be to make that headlight look like this when I'm done. The first step is to use the 800 grit sandpaper to loosen all the junk that's on in front of the light. I'm going to do it wet. This is wet or dry sandpaper. It's going to turn milky, and that's the nasty plastic that's coming off of the light. That's the oxidized plastic. It's also good to use water to get all the stuff out of the roughness of the sandpaper. That's the way it stays rougher. When we come back, I will finish the process of using the 800 grit sandpaper. I was about midway through the process of step 1 when I realized I haven't taped up the car yet. You want to do that to protect the actual paint from being scratched by the sandpaper. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to do so. If you've already got wet like I have, then you're going to have to dry it off first. But basically we're just going to tape it up. Any place that's not the actual headlight. This tape is the 3M Automotive Performance masking tape. It doesn't harm the paint and all, but it does cost a little bit more than normal masking tape, that's for sure. Some of you may be better than I am in taping the vehicle, but as long as I cover it, it doesn't matter. And this is so bad, I have to do the bottom part. I'm going to tape that up too. I'm not going to worry about the very bottom bumper because it's big enough of a gap for that. to not hit the paint. Since this is going to be on YouTube, y'all can make fun of me for the tape job, but it's all good. I'm going to move back to sanding with the 800 grit sandpaper. Okay, now I just finished with the 800 grit sandpaper. As you can see, the light is hazy, but it might not be that yellow anymore. As you can tell, when I wipe it off, that's the best way to tell that it's you've done what you need to do with this paper and move on to the next. You'll know that it's smooth, but it looks hazy. So we're going to go to the 1000 grit. It's right here. And that's going to make the scratch marks even more fine, and we'll be able to go to the next step. As you can see, it's already milky, and that is that's the sandpaper doing its job. And when we come back, I'll be finishing up with this. Okay, I'm pretty much done with the 1000 grit process. As you can see, it's still milky and hazy, but that means that it's still doing its job. Rinse this a little bit. You can see that it's becoming clear. I have the 1500 grit sandpaper right here, and this is going to make it even more clear until we get to the final step, which is the rubbing compound, and the process will be complete. But until then, let's continue with the 1500 grit sandpaper. So I'm finishing with the 1500 grit now. And you can tell that it's smooth now. It's not rough at all. It's just hazy. But that's normal for sanding a clear plastic surface with sandpaper. So don't worry about that. As you can see, it's almost clear, but we still have one more sanding process and two more polishing processes. So I'm going to get some clean water and 2000 grit sandpaper and do the last step. When we come back, I'll be done with sanding and ready to polish.